A very good evening to everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the January installation of Artificial Intelligence Community Talks, Exploring Large Language Models, a glimpse into the world of generative AI, organized by the IEEE student branch of University of Colombo School of Computing in collaboration with IEEE Young Professional Sri Lanka and AI-Driven Sri Lanka. I'm Umaya Valpala and I'm representing University of Colombo School of Computing and I'm excited to be your host for the day. Today, we'll be diving into the transformative world of generative AI and explore its potential in shaping industries and communities. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that there is a link to drop any of the questions that you might encounter during the session and we will get back to you at the end of the session. The focus of today's discussion is large language models. We are thrilled to have an expert who will help us navigate this topic today. I'm really sorry, give me a minute until I fix my technical difficulties. Like I said, we are very thrilled and enthusiastic about being joined by one of the best in the field today, and that is Mr. Hansa Perera. Mr. Perera is a data and AI technopreneur with extensive experience in leveraging AI technologies to drive impactful and trustworthy solutions. He has been at the forefront of AI innovation and brings a wealth of knowledge to today's session. Warmly inviting you to share your insights with us today, sir. Over to you, Mr. Perera.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. So, yeah. So let's dive into some of the concepts, some of the items that are currently available. I know that now everyone is talking about generative AI. Like I have heard this word, right? Even at a Rotica Day, the people are talking about how AI can be used. So I'm not saying that Rotica Day is small, but it is also a better place to discuss a lot of things. That is where we discuss a lot of items in our university times, these ideas. Some of those ideas have become large companies, and then some of these ideas just died away at that place only. But anyways, right now, each and every place, the AI is the term that is everyone is talking about, and everyone is massively utilizing the GPTs that are available. And then I would say more than 90-95% of people in Sri Lanka, we used to utilize ChatGPT, and it would be same for the world as well, because it is the first one to came in. And then there were some hiccups on the other one, which is like Google based service. But right now also it is picking up with many services in each and every month they are going to put up. So let me share my screen and then let's talk about. Right. Hope my screen is visible. Okay. So let's talk about what's the world with LLMs. I'll specifically talking about these LLMs because right now we have many terms also in that one. So we have large language models, we have large vision models, and very recently we are talking about large concept models. So when in a following discussion, in a discussion on the next few months, one of our experts can come and talk about the large vision models and as well as the large concept models that would be. But I would be basically focusing on some aspects of large language models, and then especially talking towards the trustworthy AI and the transformative potential for the industries, basically. And then today's session, I don't want to go into any of the coding purposefully, because right now, writing a code is more or less, uh, we try to write our own codes, but most of the time, we are getting the support out of these code GPTs that are available. It can be a Copilot, it can be a Code Llama, it can be any other code GPTs that are available. So showing a code and explaining it, I think it would be better to give it to Llama Tutor or Llama uh, uh, X, uh, uh, kind of uh, a GPT service that can explain you the code better than myself. So code walkthrough is not going to happen. But what would happen basically is like I'm going to focus on uh, mostly on the architectural aspect, which is right now these GPTs are very lacking. To give us a better architectural aspect and a future roadmap for developments of these type of agentic models. Right? So these type of large language models and agentic models. So three aspects, mainly for the people who are right now joining or like still starting discussing on this one. I'll be talking about very briefly on the different terms in this LLM terminology. And then we will focus on what are the uh, primarily available GPTs that you will be working on, and then even if you are right now working on some of them. The second aspect is how we can do this, having an architecture that can support the trustworthiness and the transformative aspect. So that is the second part. The third part is basically on the agentic aspect, because the whole world uh, is moving towards cognitive agents rather than utilizing a simple GPT app or something. So let's focus on the agentic part as well. Fourth is going to be basically focusing on what are the potential applications, what right now we are working on, and then some of those aspects. So that is basically the 5 areas that would be covered in this discussion. And feel free to unmute yourself and make this engaging session. Right. Yeah, you can ask your questions at Slido as well. Let me open up and okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So let's jump in. Right. Okay. So I would like to bring your attention on a scenario yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Right. When I'm saying yesterday, today, and tomorrow are some of the things that right now in the world is happening. So yesterday we were talking about how to utilize GPTs, how to ask questions from the databases, how to develop dashboards, how to develop data science models. That was the yesterday's world. That is basically history. So today's world is where people have these smart glasses. Unfortunately, I don't have a smart glass yet. I would be preferred to buy one. So you know that in Sri Lanka you can buy the smart glasses from Ray-Ban. And then so there are many JBL and other things are also available, but basically for entertainment purposes and content generation purposes. But there are many more other uh, uh, glasses that are available which can do a lot of things. So that is where we are. That is where we are today, right? And tomorrow is where you are going to have everything on your glass, rather than you're looking into your phone, right? So most probably you may have any number of iPhone NX, it would be 15, 16, whatever, but it would come to your glass. That is where we are heading. So what is the difference of having your information on a glass is where you can monitor the click stream when you have your mobile app, and then you can identify how many seconds the person is waiting on a getting a decision on an e-commerce site. You can monitor through clickstream, and you can identify where the people are scrolling and then stopping by identifying the click streams that would be available. And then you can do modifications to your UI based on that, so that users can quickly make the decision, and then not basically uh, like loading them with other possible things, and then make them to overthink. You just see the product next. uh, uh, your thumb movement is to add to cart and buy now. So those are the things that happens right now on the mobile itself, right? And then think about, you have these things in your glasses, and then it shows you, you can identify where your the eyeball is moving, and then it can show basically whether you are really interested, or it is just a fake, or just some sort of a window shopping kind of a scenario, right? Taking about the current examples, right? And then so at which places you are basically focusing on a given product. It can be a garment, it can be a electronic item, it can be a car or a vehicle, right? And then it can be food. So different segments, you can identify how people are looking into it and how they perceive it. So right now we are talking about personalized recommendations, which is very open. But when you have these type of things available, uh, yeah, so we can think about more catered to, if you're talking about myself, so catered to Hansa Perera. In which places the Hansa Perera is looking into? Is he looking into the camera? Is he looking into the side panel buttons, or is he looking into the shape of the device, right? So that you can identify, and then you don't need to flood me with the algorithm does not need to flood me with all the types of availability with respect to price. So then my recommendations would be very much catered to myself based on my click stream, based on my eyeball movements as well, a part of my other transactional patterns that it would have. So this is still about physical level data that is available. So think about a scenario where you are wearing a VR and an AR glass, like maybe Apple Vision Pro or something. And then it shows you which games you are playing, it shows you which movies you are looking at, and then so your reaction times and everything on a gaming level. And then it can also monitor your cognitive abilities with respect to brain teaser games likewise. And then it can give you more recommendations to improve the skills that you have, and then more skills that you can like develop on that aspect, right? So when you're talking about this, so that part happens on a virtual world, and then you can apply it in your physical world. So right now, whatever we do it on a physical level information and apply it on the physical level purchasing kind of a scenario, thinking about recommendation systems. Think about a scenario where you are learning through a VR tutor, and then the VR tutor can adapt to your learning style, right? So that is the place where it would learn from your virtual engagement and then applied it to identifying where should it change so that it would apply physically for you. So that is virtually available data applied in the physical world, right? And the next, let's say, think about a scenario where you have a virtual level, a gaming experience, and then you need to provide recommendations on it. So think about a game you are going to play, which is on a virtual level, and then you are basically giving recommendations on a 3D aspect or a 4D aspect with respect to colors, perseverance that you have, and then the uh, music and everything is going to get provided to you. Right? So it is not just a large language model. It would be a large a multimodal kind of a scenario where it would look at your voices, it would look at your images, it would look at your video, it would look at your items that you are talking and chatting as well. So it is going to be massive in that sense. So that is the place where the whole world that I see is moving right now. So it is not just the textual data that is going to happen, right? So if you think this is the end of a lot of things, no, it is just the beginning of uh, many big things, right? So with that in mind, so let's move on to different types of data that you would pursue in the coming years, right? Hope my screen is visible. So you can have, right now, what we are working on is basically working on this area. So almost all your undergraduate level studies or your masters or even in your PhDs, you are talking about structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. Where we came into structured, unstructured, and semi-structured, we started off with primary and secondary data. So when we were in the university, if someone asks what are the data available and how to utilize it, we call it primary data or a secondary data. So that is where the history is. This is where the current part is, right? So we're talking about structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. So you know that structured are very well organized and then can be represented in rows and columns. And then you have a rigid kind of a structure to this. Then you have this semi-structured where part of this like you can have tags or markers, but doesn't adhere to a strict predefined format. Then you can think about unstructured data where you can have textual images, voices that would be come across, right? So this is the place where right now we are in. And then where we are heading is this physical data and virtual data. So physical data is right now what we are mentioning as primary data, secondary data, or structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. And then you have the virtual level data where these data are collected with respect to your cognitive abilities, with respect to your uh, 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 body movements, with respect to your uh, uh, maybe chemical reactions that happens and taken through these wearable devices. So that is the place where we are going to have this virtual level data, right? With respect to different stimulations that would happen in the AR and the VR world. So this is where we are heading. So even we are not covering this part even at this level, and then you can think about what would be the opportunities that you would have when you have this thing available, right? So almost all the people are right now struggling to get these GPTs through LLMs and LVMs to tackle this problem. And we are about to have a bigger explosion in data when you have this, right? So if you think about that is the end of engineering, data science, and all, no, it is just the beginning of something very large, very big. So taking that positive note, if you have, please feel free to ask any questions. I'll be looking at this one. So this is where we are right now. So moving forward to these large language models, because we are here to uh, get some ideas about this one, not about this the data kind of things, and then the two futuristic things. So if you are basically focusing on understanding what exactly large language models and uh, what are their different definitions. So I think I have used this slide in a previous discussion as well, doing same for the AI driven community talk. So there are three types right now. So we are calling foundational models, large language models, and pre-trained large language models. And what happens in the current scenario is everything is considered as a GPT, or everything is people consume it as a chat GPT, which is very wrong. And as a technical crowd, even you are not a technical or a non-techie, there are no kind of people like non-techie right now in the world, because that is where the democratization of this technology part happening. So everyone is going to be a techie, and then technology is going to get commoditized rather than what happens in the last 10 to 15 years. So there are no two parties like techies and non-techies. So everyone is a techie, and then the difference is in which level you are, whether you are a nerd or whether you are at the beginner level, right? So how to utilize these things? Because as an example, I came across one of our sales colleague utilizing uh, the GPTs, basically the OpenAI API and OpenAI apps to automate his lead generation, right? Very, very like innovative. And then yeah, so that is really fast. So the way that he uses it, it is totally no code, low code level, but he has a really nice workflow. So he is not a techie. He is not a he has not learned about anything about these how these GPTs and all works, but he has a really good understanding of how his processes works, and then he utilizes thinking about how to tune some of these tools that are available to get his work done. So very smart in that sense. So that is why I'm saying there is no difference between techie and a non-techie in the coming world. So basically, most of the time, my CEO, my MD is basically coming to me uh, with a code now. Earlier, they came up with an idea whether it is possible or not. So right now, they are coming up with a code how we can scale this up. Is it possible to scale, or is there a value in it scaling up? So that is the level right now we have. And then the CEO coming with a code is a different way to handle, right? So if you think about like, okay, so think about uh, what would be your level when you are joining or currently you are working on. So most of the time in the next few months, the clients would come to you and say like, I need to scale this up. I need to secure this, and I need to go from this point, how you can support and all, right? So that is the place where we are heading. And then in that sense, like you have to be very thorough on the basics. Right? So let's go back to the foundational models, large language models, and pre-trained large language models. So foundational models is the models that have the fundamental principles of language, right? So, subject, verb, object is where how the English is working. And then that has to be applied to any language that are available. So there are resourceful languages and there are non-resourceful languages as well. So resourceful languages right now is basically considering where you have massive number of population, so that everyone, so there is a value in working on it. So that is how the giants see this as a resourceful language and an unresourceful language. So if you consider about Sinhala, it is a non-resourceful language where we are talking about 21 million people in the whole Sri Lanka. So they are the only one who are using Sinhala. And then 21 million out of that, if you consider the Sinhalese would be at least 40% or 45%, right? Uh, I'm talking about uh, the population dynamics as well. I don't have the exact answer. I think even the census department does not have an exact answer. Up to 2024, they would have it up to 2019 because I think there is no a new kind of a statistics census have happened. So with respect to 2019, there would be 52%, but right now I think it is also minimized because of this crisis. People have moved away, migrated, and all. So 21 million, 40%. So it would be somewhere around 10 million kind of a thing if you consider it as a 50%. So no one is going to build 10 million. No one is going to invest on building a giant would not do that. So it is up to us to do that. So you have fundamental principles of language. They would do it for English because that is the global language that everyone is talking about. They would do it for Chinese, because it is the world's largest population, first or second. They would do it for Tamil, Hindi, because it is you have massive population. But they won't do it for Sinhala. They won't do it for Urdu kind of scenarios as well. Right? So fundamental principles of language, you know how Sinhala works. There you have 12 different ways. So you call it vibhakti and all. So you have to handle that part, right? And then when it comes to Sinhala, your talking language and writing language are two different things. And that is same for Japanese as well. So they will implement for Japanese because there are a lot of because they have the capacity to develop these kind of things. So if you consider about this ChatGPT right now, I think it has 55 plus languages, where Google is also closer to them. I'm not aware of the AWS part because I haven't get a chance to work on it. So you have these fundamental principles of languages, and then people have developed these relationship between words and phrases. So they have identified labeled the structure of sentences, the meaning of text word by word, and then they have tokenized it, and then they have used it, they have trained it to make it general purpose. And then I'm not going to go into the technical level details of how a GPT is developed. I think right now, most of you have come across how you may have seen thousands of videos how a GPT works. But I wanted to focus on what is a foundational model. And that foundational model is basically learning about the fundamental principles of a given language. So it is not only for English, it is for many other languages. And then Sinhala is one such scenario, a unique level. If you want to have Tamil, it is available. And if you want to have Japanese, it is also right now available. And if you want to have any non-resourceful language, you have to do this foundational modeling. And it is a very costly development. Right. So that is what you call the FMs. We call it foundational models. Then you have the large language models. So large language models are the models that have been utilizing the foundational models so that it can generate text, translate languages, write different kinds of creative content, and answer some of your questions if it can identify in a more informative way. So that informative way is where the content is generated and summarized. So these large language models are derived from the foundational models and trained on massive data sets of text and code. So if you consider ChatGPT, it is basically trained on Wikipedia data. So if you consider when I was in university, that is like kind of like second year that this Wikipedia came in. So at that time, everyone was using Wikipedia to write the answers, do the assignments on which you need to find historical aspects, which you need to find definitions, likewise. So when the Wikipedia was introduced, there were almost like 50 million articles came to the world because of the Wikipedia data, right? And at that time, so this Wikipedia data is basically a human level data. Some humans have written these things. So those 50 million articles are not automated. generated by a algorithm. It would be written. It have been written by humans, right? So think about right now what is happening, which is the large language models are right now available, and most of the 90% of LinkedIn updates are not human written. So these are basically uh, some sort of AI generated thing, right? So you have 50 million articles with respect to Wikipedia, and then right now very hardly people are utilizing Wikipedia because of the credibility and then the accuracy of the documents. So I remember second year, my lecturers are saying you go to the Wikipedia and then find out these definitions. It would explain in a really a good manner. And I remember on the fourth year, my lecturers are saying never use Wikipedia to any of your research because the information is right now not correct. Okay, so it is just 2 years that the credibility of the Wikipedia went down. Right? So think about right now, we are utilizing the OpenAI API in a massive way, OpenAI ChatGPT in a massive way, and then it is not written by humans, and then it is also generated by these special GPTs that are available, and then the quality of the output that are there, and if it is not properly governed by a human, right? So that is the risky part of having this. But right now, I don't have a number like how many articles have been generated once after the GPTs are available. Like I think it was 2021 November, 2022 November onwards. We happen to use it from 2018-19 onwards due to some client engagements with in USA. They wanted to try these type of things, which I actually used these type of things somewhere back in 2018 and 19 for a log analysis requirement. So there were like 80 million customers in that with that client, and then 25 million is always active. And then we need to identify the user experience of those online active 25 million customers, and then we needed to automate it. If there is anything, we need to identify what would be the scenario, and then whether it is leading to a critical level user experience or it would be a normal one, so you don't need to attend it very fast. So that was the project that we did, and then we used some of these GPTs at that time available. It was very childish at that time, but it really helped us to cluster some of the terms that are available in the logs. That was really helpful at that time, and then never thought that it would be like massive at that time. That sort of technology would be massively utilizing by people after 5 to 7 years. But anyways, right now there we are. So large language model, so they're based on massive data sets. So that is where like Wikipedia is one of the best places to start off with. Open data gov is where US data is available, government data is available. So there are some data, numerical level data available from different Stanford, Kaggle, those type of places as well. So people have utilized them, which are publicly available. And then with the support of the foundational models, they have developed, so they have developed a model that can actually generate text, translate, write, create content. So they all happen with respect to so they would try to identify what would be the next term with respect to the previous terms that are available in a very high level. So we call it autoregressive aspect. So with respect to the autoregressive, in simple terms, it identifies what would be the best probability or the highest probability that would come. They would rank it and then find out, okay, out of the 1,000 words that would be next, this would be the best one. So that is why it is not at good at the first initial levels. If you ask what is 1+1, sometimes it is not giving correct answers. And then to this day also, we don't use LLMs, especially for mathematical related requirements. So how you can use that sort of specific tasks is where we come to the pre-trained large language models. So there is a model that has been trained on a large data set, but has not been fine-tuned for a specific task. So for a summation, for addition, for multiplication, for aggregation, to calculate mean, median, mode, to calculate uh, uh, change on growth or change on uh, declining pattern, identifying that sort of scenarios is not done by these large language models. So then people were trying to utilize this as pre-trained large language models. So you start from a training of a model for a given specific task, and then you improve the performance by several ways. So one is the parameter-based fine-tuning. You can have instruction-based fine-tuning. You can have many other ways right now called as reg-based fine-tuning. So there are several ways that you can fine-tune for your specific task. So those are the main three models right now we have: the foundational, large language, and pre-trained models. So I think I took some time because if there are anyone new, so you would get an idea about this. So if you have any questions, okay, I'll take if there are anything. So what is the best open source model that is available now? Okay, you stated that LLMs are good for mathematics, are not good for mathematics. Is there any specific model that is good at it? And if so, what is the logic behind it? Okay, yeah. So I'll take these questions at the end. Thanks for engaging. So for mathematics, the best way that we suggest is like do the maths out of the LLM and use the LLM to explain the result. That is right now what we have. It would come in some ways, right? So whatever the OpenAI tries to do right now with mathematics and all, you may have seen out of all the problems that are available, only 1 to 2% of mathematics problem can be solved by these GPTs, because it is a probability calculation, and then maths is not a probability calculation. It is a sequential process of thought, and then so it is not it is sometimes sequential, and then at the same time the sequential processing has to be happened on a parallel level. So that is why. And if you want to calculate kind of like, let's say, I'll take an example, right? I'll take a very open example and show how it would do, right? So if you want to find out a mean of a given data set, right? And then if you are doing statistics, so a mean cannot be calculated as a summation of xi divided by n for anything, right? So if you need to find out what type of a distribution it is, and then you need to think about whether you need to calculate, if it is a continuous one, you need to calculate with respect to the expected value. That is the expected value. Basically, if it is continuous, then you have to do the integration. If it is a discrete one, then you have to do the summation and then identify it, right? So that is how the mean of any data set is going to get calculated. The mean that we normally talk about is like you take the all observations and divide by the number of observations is not the correct way, right? So if you want to do that sort of a calculation, you have to explain, I need to calculate the expected value of this distribution, and then you need to do it in a very nice way, because it is very sequential. You need to find out the expected value. You need to identify the function, and then if the function is discrete, you have to take the summation. If it is the continuous, then you have to take the integration from the point where you are considering it, and then do the integration and calculate it, right? So that part would be explained, that part would be done, because you are specifying how it needs to be calculated. But if you are giving a problem like open-ended to identify or prove something, so still not the best way. And then even if you ask to calculate summation or a time intelligence kind of a calculation, it might fail because it is not trained on that level, because it is a probability calculation at the end of the day. So, so my suggestion for that specific query is to do the math separate, but use the LLM to summarize and provide the answer so that everyone can understand, right? So as a mathematician, I'm not good at explaining how my answer is, what my answer is, because as a mathematician, I basically focus on how to identify how to calculate the correct answer, right? Thinking about all possibilities. That is the focus of the mathematician. And then statistician is also focusing on how you can provide the answer by thinking about all possibilities and then minimizing the error, right? So computer scientist is computer engineer's task is to uh, use these different services that are available, provide the answer in a low latent manner with consistency, right? And still, there are no places where you need to provide this answer in a understandable manner to any level of person, right? So that is the place where the data storytelling part comes in. And then one of the best tools that you can use for data storytelling is large language models. So that is why I'm saying do the math separate and use the LLMs to provide the answer in a proper way. But soon there would be some math-based GPTs that would come. So if you go to Mathematica, if you go to Maple kind of online tools, so there are, so what they do is they basically create for a given task, it would be generating the Mathematica the script that needs to run, and they need to run it. Right? So you know these things, right? So I'll take one example out of it. So so it would be recalculating this like this, right? So and then you can basically consider how you can explain how this becomes one. You can actually calculate this, right? So so if I talk about so what it does is basically trading out. So it identifies what would be the integration that needs to happen. So integral sin x from -5 to 5 is 0 because it is plus and then +1 and then the -1 values are coming in. So that is why it is. So so you have, and then it is basically calculating the integral. So it is, I think, if you are learning advanced maths, you know there are many types of integrals that are available. But for your A levels, if you are doing a combined maths, you may be calculating only the Riemann integrals, right? So yeah. So this is a place where you can do the math calculations, advanced level math calculations. This is not an advanced. This is a very simple one. But if you want to do that, you can basically use these type of tools. The other one is kind of like MATLAB, but I think it is not available MATLAB online calculator. I'm not sure about this. Yeah. I think you have for Maple. Yeah, for Maple you have. Yeah, you can have the mobile app as well. So you can ask these type of questions and then get it done, your work, right? So what happens, the best way to do that is ask you a mathematical question from mathematical, then get the question, get the answer, and then so you can get this step by step explanation, so that you can provide the answer in a better way through your LLM. So I'll spend some time on this. So I'll move on with the other questions. What skill should a person aiming to get into the data science field master? Is there anything that would give us an upper hand among all the competitions? Yes, use. Okay, cool. I'll explain that. What is the best open source LLM model that is available right now? It depends on your sources, right? So I'll take it later. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Right, thanks for engaging. Right, so I think you have a good understanding about the FMs, LLMs, and PLLM. I think this pre-trained large language model word is very, like, not a lot of people are talking about. They all talk about LLMs, but it has three things. So I think you got the idea. And let's move on to some of the models that are available. So everyone knows about this ChatGPT. So I'm talking about 4 different levels. So who is the developer? What is the purpose, the strength of it, and then the limitations of it. So when you're using this ChatGPT, so you have this OpenAI. So they are the ones who have developed it. It is a general purpose conversational AI. It has very large knowledge base. So even though it is saying general purpose, so specific users, yeah, you have to train it a lot. And then so there is a so actually it is not Supernova, it is AWS Nova. So AWS Nova is another one. So which is kind of like enterprise scale AI, Gen AI framework, where it can do a lot of optimized scalability and then high availability on enterprise environments. And it is on AWS. So any client on AWS can utilize Nova, but it is very, very new. And then so Llama models, which is again from Meta, so known as the now known as the Meta, but earlier known as Facebook. Research focused and efficient AI models. So you can have this, and then so this is open source, and you can utilize it for almost all of your projects without a problem. But the problem is like you have to train it from the scratch for a given task. So it is not faster with respect to ChatGPT, Bedrock, or Claude and all, because they are commercial, they are available, and a lot of people are utilizing it. So they get trained much faster. They have zero-shot or few-shot learning availability. But Llama models, you have to make it available few-shot or like so those type of things you have to do it by yourself, which is taking time. So what we typically do is we start off the POC with OpenAI to identify the feasibility, and then parallelly we basically go for open source models, and then try to focus on how to train it, how to develop it in an utilizing the open source techniques that are available. So you have Bedrock. So Bedrock is the earlier one, where like right now a lot of people are utilizing to do AI based, so Gen AI based requirements on AWS, integrated into AWS ecosystem. So it is tailored for enterprise solutions. And then this is the same level. For your enterprise level data, you have to do fine tune, right? Then you have the Google one, which is called the Gemini models. So you have Gemini Flash, Gemini normal models, and a Gemini Flash models. So it is developed by Google DeepMind. And the good thing is, like, earlier the ChatGPT, the free version, is basically kind of like only textual, but Gemini models basically came out with multimodal aspect. So when you're saying multimodal, multimodal means you can give voice, you can give text, you can give image, and then as an input, it would be able to identify what exactly is there, and then provide you an answer. So that is multimodal AI. And then you can also generate those type of things, like you can generate a video, you can generate uh, uh, image, you can generate text as well. So earlier it was not properly trained. So compared to ChatGPT and then Gemini, there were issues. But when the Gemini is given a specific task, it was very much accurate than a GPT. There is a difference, because these GPTs right now up to AWS that I talk, they always look only for the what would be the best next term, right? So that is their main objective of in the algorithm when they are ranking what would be the best term to count. But the difference between Gemini is, like, it would basically first look at what would be the best term to count, and then it would also look at if that term is there, is the others are also okay. So it basically test it out on both ways, right? So that is why it is known as this pathway merge. Right? So that is why it is more accurate. So if you are given a specific task in a more uh, rather than an open way, but in a more focused level, yeah, it would give you more accurate level answers. Then you have Anthropic. Anthropic is kind of like uh, so one of the leading providers of this, and Claude was there earlier. And then someone has asked what would be the best model. So very few days ago, there was a DeepSeek introduced by, I think, Chinese. So that is kind of like right now thinking about yeah, many level things as an example, but there are leaderboards, so it is easy to find out the leaderboards with respect to different aspects. So Claude was kind of like very accurate for, especially for enterprise level uh, uh, usage. Okay, so you have open source model called Mistral. So a lot of people are utilizing it to do bit of like Q&A kind of things, and then so it is easy for fine tuning and task specific needs. It was easy to handle. So you have these DeepSeek models, so which is specialized for domain specific tasks. So especially that is why I told you, like, if it is enterprise level, so DeepSeek models are really right now coming up, but very recently introduced, right? And then you have these Azure GPT services if you want to do it on cloud, right, rather than utilizing on chat. But so you have the Azure GPT services, but again limited to OpenAI ecosystem. So that is another scenario. And then you have this the same thing on Google Gen AI Studio as well. Uh, it can have many other models that you can try out, not only limited to the OpenAI APIs or Gemini, but it can also develop from that. But there is a cost to do that. So Google Gen AI Studio is also available in that sense. Right. So these are different levels that are available. So if you want to actually look at all the things, what you can do is you can go to this one. Right. So I think even in a previous discussion also I have showed it. So you can go to poe.com. That is what I basically use. So you can identify all those available GPTs, large language models, large vision models that are available. So very simply, what you need to do is you type at, so that you can use GPT-4, you can use Gemini, you can use, so if you want Claude, so you can type Claude here. Right. Okay, so let's see whether it has the DeepSeek. I think it is not yet added. So if you want to have Mistral, so this that you need to type at 10 Mistral, so that model is getting loaded, and then you can use it. So if you want to have Llama, so you can have Llama models. Right? So you can have all these models, the very large model, the 405 billion one, 78 billion, and then you can use most of the models that are available through here. Right? So very simple. So if I take Gemini Flash, see that it is basically sorting out open source, closed, and closed source, right? Okay. So we can ask the same thing from ChatGPT. So it is giving you more open source, closed source, general access, closed source, limited access, specialized models, right? So you can see the difference of the two models. So Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is the small model. And then you can have the GPT-4o, which is the largest model. So it gives you a different flavor as well. So you can ask the same thing from Claude. So let's use haiku. I think you may have used this. So you can see it is more similar to the GPT one. Sorry, the Google one. So let's ask from Llama. Let's ask from yeah, this one. So it is also same, even though it has 8 billion tokens, it is similar to what you have got provided by Gemini. So yeah, so you can test this out, and you can create your own bots as well. Okay, so just to show you how you can identify different types of models, what are their capabilities and all. So moving forward, I think right. Okay, so this is a bit of an architecture diagram, which is being published by a set of researchers. And then the research paper is known as, Towards Responsible AI in the Era of Generative AI, reference architecture for designing foundational model-based systems. So this is a paper. Let me show you the paper as well. So this one. So I basically extracted from here, which is published on 2023, December 8th. Right. So there are a lot of details about this. It would be better if you can read it and get a good idea about what would be the evolution of these type of architectures. So right now we are here. So non-AI components and AI models working together. Right. So non-AI components are components like API services, database connections, and all. And AI models are the ones that we are utilizing as GPT-4o, or maybe a deep learning model, or like CNN or RNN kind of a scenario, or a OpenVINO kind of a scenario, right? So that is what non-AI components and AI models are right now. So architecture in 5 years would be fewer narrow AI models. So right now we are working on these narrow AI models. And then you have the foundation models that would come, and then non-AI components, because we have to integrate with different services and all. So that is why these non-AI components are there. So fewer narrow AI models and then foundation models would come. Yeah, so we are thinking about 5 years, but it would happen in any time, even this year or next year, right? So architecture in 10 years would be chain of foundation models, not just one single foundation model, but chain of foundation models, thinking about language, thinking about mathematics, thinking about science. So you can have different chains of foundation models, and then very few non-AI and non-AI components, right? So it would be basically going towards chain of foundation models. And architecture in 10 years, that is one aspect. So you have an ultra-large foundation model. Yeah, then you have this few non-AI components. Okay, so we don't know whether chain of foundation models will build up an ultra-large foundation model or a foundation model. So that is where we are heading right now. We are. So how we can utilize this current system and then not to in a problematic manner about this responsible AI and all. So this paper suggests what are the types that would be there. So it also suggests different types of foundational models as well. So I talk about this foundation model, but it is talking about like four types of foundation models, right? So even a country can have a foundation model, especially thinking about their own scenario. So like in China, it is restricted to use ChatGPT. Right? So they have their own GPTs right now available. So that is where the sovereign FMs are going to come up. Right? All right. Just to give you where things are right now, people are talking about. Okay. All right. So in that sense, we need to also have a SLGPT. So yeah, we can discuss about that also. So when you're talking about this pattern-oriented reference architecture for designing responsible and adaptable foundational model-based systems, right? So it is talking about adaptable, right? Because we know that it is not going to be a one-off thing. So you have a supply chain layer where you basically try to get third-party level developed AI models, right? So let's say me is trying to develop a FM called Handy GPT, and then I should have shown where are my sources, how it is being trained, what are the type of outputs, can it be jailbreak? So those kind of things has to be provided when I'm talking about that I have a GPT called Handy GPT, right? So then you have this in this architecture, they are talking about AI bomb, which is artificial intelligence bill of materials. So that BOM means where it should provide those type of parameters: how many tokens, where the source data was, how it is being trained, can it be jailbreak, what are the type of nuisances that it can handle, the type of hallucinations that would be there. So these things has to be provided. If it is not there, we are not going to take it, right? So if it is there, you're going to do the understanding and then use it, right? So that is how this supply chain layer works. And then you have these other components, so which is the narrow AI models and non-AI components. Right now, what is right now we have, right? And then you have this foundation models. So how you can take these external FMs, so likewise, what I was talking about. And then you have fine-tuned FMs. So when I'm saying FMs, those are foundational models. And then souring FMs, basically utilizing the reinforcement learning based on human in the loop, right? So RLHF means reinforcement learning with respect to human in the loop, right? So sovereign FMs would come. So these are going to be the foundational models in that sense. And then you have interaction components. So multimodal context engineering, very technical terms, but you would be stepping into these things very soon. So don't get upset because you have GPTs available. You can ask what is multimodal context engineering, and then it would basically teach you what it is, right? So I don't know whether you have watched the Matrix movie. So right now, I feel like I am the Neo, because in the Matrix movie, like this is kind of like one of the examples that everyone uses. But from that day onwards, when I watched that movie for the first time, I was expecting that sort of a thing would happen very fast. Right. So when I want to learn something, when he wants to learn jujitsu, so it was just a program that needs to be loaded. And then if he wants to do a pilot kind of a training, so it is just another program that needs to be loaded. So if you want to learn about multimodal context engineering, go to Llama Tutor, say that I'm an undergraduate level, teach me what is multimodal context engineering. So it will give you a very nice list of things about multimodal context engineering. And then you can learn about that, and then you can basically read more about that if you still wanted to go deep in technical, right? Okay, I think you may be using that. I'll take 1 or 2 minutes on that. So this is your personal tutor. So you can mention which level you are. So you can say, graduate, teach me about multimodal context. Right. So it is basically give you what is contextual engineering. And then, yeah, so it is talking about what is multimodal. And so it basically taught you. And then, so it is going to give you these kind of things. So you can ask follow-up questions on this. So it is basically giving you how you can do that even with the code level. So your tutor is available, so you can learn about these things, and then you can try this out with codes as well. So that is where you can learn a lot of things. Okay, so coming back, multimodal context engineering is that part. Auto prompt generation would come right now we have to give the prompt. So auto prompt part is there, but we have to give the prompt in a proper way, right? So this is where the system layer part comes in. So you have this agent. Let's talk about in the next slide. You have the adapters that can have, so how you can govern the APIs. Then you can think about the federated regs, right? So yeah, more things. So I'll stop at this place rather than talking about the RAGs especially. So federated RAGs is another scenario. Then you have this operational layer where you can talk about these verifier guardrails and those kind of things. So this is kind of like people are moving towards. So so since our focus is also on foundational models, large language models, and then basically thinking about the responsible AI aspect, we call it RAI. So how you can actually cater to that is like you can do this with respect to this type of a reference architecture. And you can go to this, you can refer this research paper as well, right? Okay. All right. I think, okay, we have spent 1.5 hours. Okay. Is it 1.5 hours or 2 hours? I couldn't get the time properly. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's go to this one. So this is when you're talking about AI agents. So right now, whole world is like, if you see this, the video from Satya Nadella. So he's saying that this is the end of SaaS, and then it would be the era of agents. So when you're talking about agents, so I just at the beginning also I was talking about like not to show you any code, but to show you what exactly happening in the larger level, so that the code can be taken from different GPTs that are available, and then there are thousands of articles that you can learn about that. But I wanted to give you the aspect of where we are heading. When I'm saying we, I'm saying about the Gen AI as an industry. So right now we have agents. We have worked with agents earlier. It is not a new thing. So we are basically having this level. So you have no type of an AI, but you have tools which can get intent, roles, and actions, right? So that is basically intent, roles, and actions. So if you remember, if you were developing any bots, I remember from my university time and also in the industry. So we were trying to develop these chatbots with respect to intent, utterances, and identification of that, and then create different agents to tackle different problems. And then even the RPA part was also there, but it is a bit different. So intent, rules, and actions were given so that there are no AI. It would basically work on the given set of instructions. Right? Then we have the first level where you have some AI, where you have the role-based AI, and then with respect to you are given the intent and action. So you have a set of rules, and then you give intent and actions to follow, right? So it is kind of like where and joiny would work in that sense, but more proper level tuning, it would be able to provide you the given tasks, right? So that is the first level of agents. So you have the rule based, and then you have the tools, right? So you have the reinforcement learning based AIs, and then you have tools, intent plus actions would be there, and reasons and decision making. So mostly right now, this is where people wanted to work on. So there is a bit of a complexity in implementing this reinforcement learning based AI, especially like with respect to the hardware and all, due to the cost, right? So when you have this level 2, it would be very much similar to a trained professional, and then it would work. And then it would not only providing the task, but it also provide you the reason and the decision that it has made. So which is kind of like more intelligent and going towards artificial general intelligence. So this AGI means artificial general intelligence. So this competent AGI not yet achieved. So right now we are trying it here, right? And then you have the LLM based AI, reasoning and decision making, memory and reflection. No reasoning. So level 2 was there, but then everyone is right now trying to utilize removing this reinforcement learn based AI. We are trying to utilize LLM based capabilities, right? And then doing this reasoning plus decision making and memory plus reflection. So so rather than reinforcement learn based on reasoning and decision making, right now we are trying to do the LLM based reasoning and decision making. So the problem with this is LLMs is not properly like you have to properly train the LLMs to provide the reason and then the decisions that are going to make. So you have to tune that because it is just a probability calculation when it comes to LLMs very simply, right? So when you have this, so you have kind of like a expert level professional with 5 to 10 years experience of person, how would he would work. So you will have this level 3. So that is where people are working towards. We work towards this one, the level 2, and then we actually did some POCs and then stopped that. But again, right now we are working on with this, and then it is really nicely working. We know the hassle that we have to face training this type of agents. But this is really, really nice. The only bad thing is it is just a query that we need to provide to get the work done rather than coding in a massive level. So that is the only worry that right now we are having. So the level 4 is where like kind of like LLM based AI. So you have intent and extraction, so autonomous learning and generalization. So right now, so this is where like a graduate or like a person who is graduated or a person who has some experience uh, with some level of understanding of science, maths, and all. So that is the place where the generalization part happens, right? So you learn about uh, so as an example, you learn to write an essay uh, about uh, about yourself, right? And then you are good to write about someone else's as well. So how about you explain about yourself, and how about you explain about one of your role models, right? So that is what happens even in our school. So we basically learn how to do it for a given scenario, and then we are training how it can be generalized, right? So that is what the education and as humans we are trying to do. So we get an experience and then we try to generalize it for any other scenario. So as an example, I may work on a retail scenario, thinking about loyalty management systems, and then I'll be utilizing the same information, knowledge that I have gathered there to a different industry, right? So think about it would be a manufacturing. So how I can utilize the same domain knowledge on developing a LLM, developing an agent model on applying on manufacturing. So that is the generalization part. So that is the level 4. So level 5 is like working with different agents and then collaborative behavior and then showcasing some of the emotions, right? So that is where the ASI part, so which is the super intelligence is going to come, artificial super intelligence is going to come. So these are the 5 levels of agents. So right now we are in level 3, right? So if you have missed the buses of 0, 1, 2, no problem. You start off with level 3, and there are many tools available to do that. So I basically use Grok. I basically used the auto GPTs, and then sometimes if I wanted to develop it, I develop it uh, even without using those tools as well, Grok or like auto GPT or anything. So I'm developing it from the scratch when I want it, but you can start off doing this. Very easy to do that, but you have to follow some of the introductory levels. Then it is very easy to develop these kind of things, right? All right. So let's talk about. So I was talking about now 3 aspects. So one is actually data. One is on the foundational models. What are the existing foundational models, and then agents that are available. So let's talk about the last thing, which is like what are the items that are available utilizing these type of things, especially on the Sri Lankan context. Right. So we were talking about this. Hey AI, can you speak Sinhala? Right. So I know that when you ask from Gemini, right? I used to say Google AI, and then I used to say it is GAI guy. So that's how I renamed it, and then even my kid also right now talking with Gemini, saying that hey guy, I need to get these things done, right? So, but if you say that yeah, can you speak in Spanish? It would do. Can you speak in Chinese or Mandarin? It would do. But if you say that can you speak in Sinhala, it would say no, Sinhala is not a language that I've been trained on. So I prefer to get your question and then provide your answer in Sinhala. That is what it can do, right? So how we can actually so this is one project that right now we are trying out. We are revamping it again with respect to new things that are available rather than going towards a foundational model, trying to go towards a pre-trained model, which is the easiest way to tackle. So what to build is a lot of things, right? So you can think about this as one of your projects as well. So these are some of the things right now we are working on. So if it is a general purpose single language model, right? So we need to do a bit of like data collection and processing, fine tuning, and then evaluation and enhancements. Basically, these are the three things that need to be done. Some of you may have already libraries published in Hugging Face. And if so, please share your thoughts as well. So these are different data sources that we can collect these data. And then, so we have already started this and then work towards some of these items. So the bigger problem is we don't have a proper tokenizer for Sinhala. So that is the place where like we have only several tokenizers available for Sinhala. So that is the bigger worry to come up with the foundation model. So that is why we right now stop on hold the foundational model building and then working towards a pre-trained model which works on Sinhala, right? So in your research area, you can think about developing a tokenizer. Then it has many value addition to these type of projects. And then the real business value comes with this because everyone that we meet on Sri Lankan context are asking how we can utilize this Sinhala GPT, right? You know, now ChatGPT is available on WhatsApp. So you can, like the country is right now focusing on digitizing within 5 years, right? 2030. So at that level, like China, you can ask from your mother tongue. That would be really great. So that you don't need to worry about Singlish, English, or like English or whatever, right? So Muslim plus English or like Tamil plus English, or you have English or so whatever. So so these are basic areas where we thought of would get benefit. So a lot of things are required. So mostly the telecommunication has a lot of requirements, even though not added here. So you have healthcare, agriculture, so uplift the quality of Sri Lankans. So we can do a lot of work. So these are the areas where they have shown the interest, right? So right now, what we are trying is text-to-speech, speech-to-text kind of a scenario, which is still not the best way. But even to speed up the process of utilizing Sinhala on that one, so we are using these pre-trained models. So we need to develop these conversational AI parts as well. So once after we have these pre-trained simple models, we can actually utilize this in through agentic aspects as well. So this is where we are working on right now on one aspect. Right? And then another set of things like, so if you think about where to use these type of LLMs, I'm basically focusing on data value chain, right? Because when you capture the data value chain, and then it is basically generic to any industry. So that what you have to do is you have to change your domain. That means the industry, right? So whatever the industry that you are in, your data value chain has 5 aspects. So one is data integration, data processing, model development, AI productization, and then smart adoption. Those are the 5 things. Whatever the industry that you are in, if you want to step into data journey, if you want to have unstoppable business growth with data-driven aspect, so these are the 5 things that needs to happen. So how LLMs can support is in many ways, right? In LVMs, LCMs, many ways that you can have. So data integration is is one of the most biggest worrisome tasks in Sri Lankan context, because we have many applications available. Some are legacy, some are modern, right? And then some does not have a capability to uh, convert it or migrate it, right? And then so the people who have provided these services have left, or the company is not there. So a lot of bigger bodies are in the data integration part. And then if you go to Sri Lankan context, so if you go to some of the industries, they say that we have a database, we have digital capabilities and all. And then we ask them to open up the databases, they go to a folder and open a Excel file. So which is very shocking. But I'm just saying because that is what we have, like those people have been trained as databases. So most of the companies have that level. There are some companies have that sort of a infrastructure that is like their database all on. They say that their database is all on a folder, maybe on a desktop machine, not even on a cloud level, shareable folder as well. It is on a desktop, and so the person who is holding it is by protecting it, giving even his life also, not to share any data, right? So these are some of the challenges that we face when we focus on Sri Lankan context. But I'm not saying that no need to focus on here, because you have a huge potential for all the businesses that are here. Even though you are saying it as giants, even though saying it as like thinking about very futuristic aspects, but a lot of opportunities are there, even with the bigger companies. And then you have a very massive uh, uh, opportunity, especially on the SMEs and boutique shops, right? So SMEs are the small and medium scale ones. Very massive opportunities there, right? Because they cannot actually uh, invest on a team of data scientists or invest on a team of AI engineers. So you can think about developing these type of components, so that can be done very easily, right? Not to talk about like $100,000 project or so, but to provide it as a subscription based on their usage as well. So that is how we can talk about this digitization aspect of all across all across Sri Lanka. So data integration has a lot of issues in that one, so you can actually support them. Standardizing these documents, you can have these Excel files, you can have these databases, right? So you can get this data to a location, or like you can develop some agents which can talk with these flat files, which you can talk with these databases, get the required data, and then provide it to a data processing kind of agent. Then you can think about model development kind of agent, and then basically productizing your service on that on top of it. So that is why I'm saying this is very generic. So this is unique offerings that can augment the data value chain with LLMs, right? So these are some of the areas where we are right now working on. So a lot of people are talking about developing dashboards, but it is a 6 to 8 months at least engagement. So what we suggest is like, okay, use LLMs. We will develop it using open source LLMs so that your data would not go even out of your intranet, right? So transforming how you interact with your data. So rather than going to look for a dashboard, I'm not saying the end of the dashboard, but yeah, the dashboard should be there so that some people are good at looking at the visuals, some people are looking at chats, right? And some people are looking at asking questions and get the work done. And then sometimes the dashboard might not have all the information that you need, and then it is not practical to have all the information on a single dashboard. So which is not practical as well. So anything that you want, you can check with your dashboard is something that we can enable. And then we have an accelerator that can perform that sort of thing. Then you have this target marketing level AI content generator, right? So which is a very cumbersome process. And then you don't have a single solution that can do this hyper-personalized level thing. So you can actually focus on, you just need to give you some instructions to this agent, and then it would basically create you hyper-personalized emails. And then it would combine it with your CRM and all. So you can basically monitor what happens, your marketing campaigns and all. So not to get worried, so you have this CV sorter that we tried out right now in the development stage, where we are trying to identify profiles, because most of your CVs, you hardly put your GitHub link. So we are trying to have a scraper and then identify how code quality and everything, especially for a technical kind of a recruitment, software engineering, data science, AI level. I'm just giving you these ideas because you also can try these out, or you can also build many other solutions on top of it. So this is something that you can think about. So you can basically identify their attitude. You can identify their uh, dedication and all, and then what type of likes, dislikes he would have by looking at social media. So you can profile the candidate before coming to the interview, and then it saves the candidate's time as well as your time as well. And then, so with this, we can support the candidate also to improve some of the skills if it is missing. And then we can also support the recruiter, right? So because they are in dire need of hunting for good resources, right? So both basic works, right? And then these type of data can be provided to universities, technical training institutes as well, so that they can bridge the gap between the industry and the academia as well. So the document standardizer is basically thinking about how you can standardize different flat files and databases into a single level without a hassle of a very large level data migration and then data mapping use case, how we can utilize it. So these are very useful things, even though they are very simple things, but these are very useful things for any business. So that is why I wanted to showcase. So these are some of the areas right now we are working on. Yeah, so that with that, I think I come to a conclusion. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure about the time. Yeah, we can wrap it up. Yeah, so let's go to the questions, I think. So what skills should a person aiming to get into data science field master? Is there anything that would give us an upper hand among all the competition? Yeah, so one thing that you can do for the data science is, like, everyone is like, when you're talking about a data science undergraduate or a data science graduate, we expect them to understand, work with 12 different algorithms, considering classification, considering regression, time series, and then association. So those are the primary 4 types of algorithms. And when it comes to classification, you can have supervised and unsupervised. Then you have time series on ARIMA, SARIMA, Arch kind of things. And then when it comes to regression, you can have logistic and linear and multinomial regression as well. So then it comes to almost like 10 algorithms with that. And then you have the association level understanding. So basically going with market basket analysis and a priori kind of algorithm. So those are the basic 12 algorithms that we expect from a data science graduate or anyone. So how you can be up in the game is like showcasing your code quality, showcasing how you can perform a model deployment, right? You can showcase these kind of things through your GitHub. You can showcase these kind of things through your LinkedIn. So there is a new trend going on. People are like, it is really great to see people are talking about their projects on LinkedIn and showcasing some videos. Really, really great. And then you can basically up in the game by sharing your work, because that is one aspect that every industrial professional would look into, right? So it is not just about yourself, it is about sharing your thoughts and then uh, become an expert on that, and then become a thought leader on that. So it is a very a great skill that every recruiter would look at. And then think about a domain, and then think about how those domains would work. So it might not come from your university, but you have to step in to some other places. You can discuss with industry professionals. I know most of colleagues who are working in different industries are willing to give you a hand. So you can connect via LinkedIn, you can get some time and then understand how a domain would work. So when you show those type of things, like your code quality, the deployment aspects, and then uh, expert or some idea about a domain, that would be basically you are basically above average in that sense. Hope I have answered that question. And then what is the architecture in LLM model connecting with each user in a software? What is the architecture in LLM model connecting with each user in a software? Can we deploy a single model in Hugging Face and call separately to each user, right? So that is the technical one. Can we deploy a single model in Hugging Face and call separately to each user? I think there are several options that we can do. If I understood it clearly, the question is asking you have a single model, single LLM, and then there are different users. So let's say you have one LLM, there is a user from sales department, there is a user from marketing department, there is a user from HR department. So you deploy a single model, and then marketing department would have their own questions, sales department would have their own questions, and then HR department would have their own concerns looking back at, right? So if that the requirement, I think so you can do it in a I would suggest better not to go for a single model, because there would be hallucinations, and then there would be problems in data security, data sharing as well. So I would expect it to be separate small models for different users. But if the users are same, like you have marketing team only, but you have a single LLM where you have a hierarchy for the marketing team, where you have the lead of the marketing team, and then you have the executive level colleagues that is going to work. Yeah. So in that sense, I think you can do this, but you can govern the questions, answers, jailbreaking aspects through authentication, role-based access, and all. So that is what I see this question. Yeah, please feel free to ask if it is not the question that you expect to have. Okay. Right. I'll move forward. Are there any frameworks or methods to evaluate the efficiency and cost of LLM without coding it inside, like analytics? Okay. Right. Yeah, that is available. But the problem is there are no like readily available calculators. So since we are working with different sets of, since we have to work with commercial and open source models to minimize the cost and all, so we have created our own calculators. So how to create a calculator is a very cumbersome process, because it is really hard to understand. But what you can do is, like, you can read those things, which I have done, is basically reading those different documents that are there, right? And then understanding how different models would work, how different models would work, and then identifying the number of tokens and all. Yeah. So there are no specific framework as per se, but what I have developed there is something. You can reach out to me. I'll be able to share that Excel sheet with you, which consists of OpenAI, Gemini, Bedrock, and then Clone. Yeah. So those are the 4 things right now I have it available. And then you can do simulations like number of tokens, number of input tokens, number of output tokens, number of trainings that is going to happen, the size of the database. So those kind of things are included in that by doing so the reading and all. So created that. Yeah, please reach out to me. I'll share that. Okay, what is the best open source LLM model that is available right now? Okay, very tough question to ask. So with respect to what I have used, is I have a different. I cannot say exactly this, but if on the level, so Llama is always up in the game. But when it comes to code level things, yeah, it is not that big. So if it is talking about mathematics, no, not at all, right? So if you want to have coding kind of aspect, Code Llama is also good, but yeah, you have to train. So if you think about kind of like Q&A from documenting and then asking questions from CSVs and all, Mistral would be ideal than Llama. It is easy to train, fine tune because Mistral is very specific. So on the surface level, as a majority, so people talk about Llama is good, but again, with respect to your requirements, sometimes it is the worst, right? So that is why I'm saying, very simply, it is Llama, but yeah, it depends on your requirement. So if it is I'm saying it again, if it is maths, chemistry, physics kind of a thing, yeah, not the best. All right. So hope I have answered that question also. You stated that LLMs are not good for. I think I explained this one. So the best thing is to use mathematics separately and then use Llama at least this level to summarize the answer and then explain the answer. How do you think AI will assist us in our future careers instead of posing job losses, especially in the CAs and SCPs? Yes, I think AI will assist a lot. And then it would basically right now when we are doing effort estimations, earlier we did it like 3 to 4 days, right? So thinking about 16, 18, 16, 24 hours for a given task. But with these co-pilots that are available, so we think that we can do it much faster. And then you don't need to, before going to commit your code, you can check your quality as well, security vulnerabilities as the other things, so that it would speed up your development process. And then speed up your development process is basically connecting to quality level delivery. And then quality level delivery means you can move forward with other projects very fast. So that is how I see on a very high level. But if you go back to the technical development level, yes, in that sense, so no one would ask you to code in the future, right? So no one would ask you to, no one would give you a code and say like an assignment. So provide a code for this because you can use these things to get it done. But most of the time, you will be asked how you would plan before you code. So it is like think before you code is what we basically right now thinking about. So if you are looking for a job, so think about to train your mind how to think before you code. So those are the questions that basically people would ask, recruiters would ask, and then in that one, AI might not be able to support you in a more precise way. So you have to train on that. So that part is missing. Think before you code is not there. So you have to think, and then you can ask how to get this work done from the co-pilots that would be available. So AI will assist developing your code in a more robust, acceptable way, right? So that is what I have to say. And then what are some practical use cases of having to explain mathematical logic, right? So some clients would like to understand what it is working. Some clients would like to say that they also understood these concepts. So in that sense, they would ask, okay, explain this to me, I can also understand. So then you have to explain these things. Basically, they would ask, what is the gradient descent method, how you can identify. So then, they would ask, yes, I know about GCD, gradient descent method, but how you basically suggest this, that you have identified the most, the local minima that you have. Can't there be a global minima more than that? So how you have stopped those kind of things? Because so when you ask from ChatGPT, what are the questions that I ask on this model? It gives you can ask on these questions, right? So in a demo level scenario or a product delivery kind of a discussion or like a UAT kind of a scenario, so your clients would come prepare for those type of questions. And then you have to be one step further and then try to explain these things in a very nice way. So practical use cases are especially like that. And then some of the scenarios like when what I basically face day in day out is like we doing a project on anomaly detection. So they ask, this value is considered as an anomaly, but after 5 seconds, this value is not considered as an anomaly. Why is that? So then you have to explain how your anomaly algorithm works, and then why the first one is an anomaly, why the second one is not an anomaly,
Excuse
and
me.
that is basically sensitivity and all. Yeah. So that's it.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think we will have to wrap up before 8. So I'm telling all the participants, if you have any more questions, we will have to reach out to our speaker after the session because we are running out of time. Really sorry to everybody. Yes, sir. So you can go on and answer the last question, I guess.
Yeah, I think yeah. So there are three questions, I think. Yeah. So I'll go for the last one. He's going for a data science role for internship is not good here because the exposure you get is limited compared to a software. So yeah. I think it depends on what you need to focus on your career. So if you want to focus on a data science career, yeah, that would be really ideal to go for a data science internship than going for a software engineer. Yeah, very simply that. So yeah, you can reach out to me through LinkedIn. I think my number was also there. So you can reach out to me via WhatsApp. I hardly use Facebook. So yeah. So any questions, please feel free to ask. Yeah, I'll try to answer within the time that I have. All right. So sorry for taking time. And then I think uh, uh, I was able to share some thoughts that you can think about. All the best. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that informative session. I think all of us learned a lot, and we are really, really, really grateful to have you here today. So, as a small token of appreciation, we have this small token of appreciation for you, sir, because we learned so much from you. This was an exceptional contribution to this event. We wouldn't have had this much of success with this session without you. And please accept this little token of appreciation from all of us from IEEE student branch of UCSC and also partnering up with the young professionals of Sri Lanka IEEE branch as well. So before we officially wrap up, let's capture this amazing moment together. We'd love to have all of our participants on their cameras to capture the end of the session. You can download the virtual background from the chat box. And yeah, please switch on the camera for 2 minutes. Awesome. Can we have others joining in as well? All right. All right. On the count to 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. I think we are done. All right. All right, cool. Thank you so much once again to Mr. Hansa Perera for joining us and giving so much insightful information and guiding us through this session. Thank you so much for everybody who joined with us today as well. And we hope to see you in future events that are organized by IEEE UCSC as well as the IEEE Young Professional Sri Lanka. It's been an absolute pleasure to host all of you tonight and have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.